Right now, somewhere in a stretch of water you could swim across in an hour, the entire world is holding its breath. 20% of the planet's oil, 150 ships, anchored, going nowhere, and a nation of 80 million people who just told the world, try us. This is the story of the most important 20 miles on Earth. The Strait of Hormuz, 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, connecting the Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman, and beyond that, to every ocean on Earth. Every single day, 20 million barrels of oil pass through this strait. That's the fuel in your car, the electricity in your home, the plastic in your phone, the food on your table. Because every tractor, every cargo ship, every refrigerated truck runs on what flows through here. Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar. The UAE, 5 of the world's largest oil producers. And every drop they export travels through a corridor that could be blocked by a country 21 miles away. Geologists have a word for places like this. They call them choke points, but that word doesn't capture it. A choke point implies inconvenience. This is something else entirely. This is a knife pressed against the throat of the modern world. When the Strait of Hormuz is threatened, oil prices spike within hours. Economies shudder. Governments scramble. Wars begin. And it has always been this way. Because long before oil was discovered here, long before anyone knew what lay beneath these ancient waters, empires were already killing each other for control of this exact stretch of sea. The first to arrive came from the other side of the world. The year is 1507. The island of Hormuz, a small rocky outcrop at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, is the most important trading hub on Earth. Spices from India, silk from China, gold from Africa, pearls from the Gulf. Everything passes through here. The merchants of Hormuz are fabulously, almost incomprehensibly wealthy. Then, one morning, they looked out to sea and saw something they had never seen before. Afonso de Albuquerque, Portuguese admiral, conquistador, a man who had already burned his way across the coast of Africa and India. He arrived at Hormuz with 23 warships and a simple message: surrender or burn. The Sultan of Hormuz had an army. He had walls. He had wealth. What he didn't have was cannon fire. By sunset of that same day, the most important trading port in the known world belonged to Portugal. For the next 115 years, every ship that entered or left the Persian Gulf paid Portugal. Every spice, every silk, every gram of gold. They taxed it all. The island of Hormuz became the crown jewel of a Portuguese empire that stretched from Brazil to Japan. But empires built on greed have a weakness. They create enemies. And Portugal, sitting on the most valuable choke point in the world, was about to face the strangest alliance anyone had ever seen. Two powers. They hated each other. One was a Persian empire at the height of its power under Shah Abbas the Great, a man who dreamed of reclaiming every inch of land the Portuguese had stolen. The other was the English East India Company, cold, calculating, interested in only one thing: profit. In 1622, these two enemies sat across a table and made a deal that would reshape the world. The logic was brutally simple. Shah Abbas needed English ships and cannon to break Portugal's stranglehold. The English needed Persian permission to trade through the Gulf without paying Portuguese taxes. Enemies with a common enemy. Or are not enemies at all. On the 23rd of April, 1622, they attacked Hormuz together. The Portuguese, who had held this island for over a century, lasted 4 days. 4 days. The island of Hormuz was destroyed so completely that it was never rebuilt. Today, it is a ghost. Crumbling walls, empty streets, a reminder that no empire holds power forever. But here's the part that history books leave out. The English didn't walk away empty-handed. In exchange for their help, they received something priceless: trading rights in the Persian Gulf. A foothold, the beginning of a British presence in this region that would last 300 years. The Portuguese were gone, but control of the strait hadn't been freed. It simply changed hands. And then, 3 centuries later, they found something beneath the water. Something that would make everything that came before look like a minor disagreement. 1908. A British drilling crew in Persia, modern-day Iran, struck oil. For the first time in history, the Persian Gulf was no longer just a trade route. It was sitting on top of the largest energy reserves ever discovered. Suddenly, the Strait of Hormuz wasn't just important. It was everything. By the mid-20th century, the math was staggering. The Persian Gulf contained more than half of the world's proven oil reserves, and every drop of it had one way out. Britain understood this. They stationed warships here for decades. When Britain finally withdrew in 1971, the United States took their place, because by then, the American economy ran on Gulf oil. The Fifth Fleet, permanent bases, military alliances with every Gulf state. Not because America cared about the Gulf. Because America cared about what flowed through it. And then came 1979, the Iranian Revolution, and everything changed. The new Islamic Republic of Iran sat on the northern shore of the Strait of Hormuz. For the first time in history, a government openly hostile to the United States controlled one side of the most important waterway on Earth. For 40 years, Iran played this card carefully, threatening, posturing, closing the strait during exercises, letting the world remember, always, that they could, at any moment, turn off the tap. The world called their bluff. For 40 years, until February 2026, when they didn't bluff anymore. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched nearly 900 strikes in 12 hours, targeting Iranian missiles, air defenses, military infrastructure, and leadership. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei was killed. Within hours, Iran's Revolutionary Guard had a message for the world. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. If anyone tries to pass, we will set those ships ablaze. 150 ships dropped anchor, one by one. A fleet frozen in place, engines off, going nowhere. The International Maritime Organization reported that 20,000 mariners and 2,000 ships were stranded in the Persian Gulf. Brent crude, which had been trading at $72 a barrel on February 27th, surged more than 55%, reaching nearly $120 at its peak. Gas prices spiked across Europe and America within days. Supply chains that had survived 2 world wars, the Cold War, and a global pandemic, buckled. China and Russia vetoed a United Nations Security Council resolution calling for freedom of navigation in the strait. The world was split, not just militarily, but economically, politically, fundamentally, over 21 miles of water. 500 years, 6 empires, trillions of dollars. And it always came back to the same question. Who controls the strait controls the world. Portugal thought they had the answer in 1507. They were wrong. The British thought they had the answer in 1622. They were wrong. The Americans thought they had the answer in 1971. History is still deciding. There's a geological fact about the Strait of Hormuz that almost no one knows. The same ancient forces that created the narrow passage, the tectonic plates grinding against each other over millions of years, also created the conditions that produced the oil beneath the Gulf. The bottleneck and the treasure were made by the same hand. As if the earth itself designed a trap. Every empire that has ever stood at the edge of these waters has believed the same thing, that this time they were different, that this time the control would last, that this time history would not repeat itself. It always does. If you want to know the histories they never put in textbooks, the dark truths buried under 5 centuries of official narrative, subscribe to Dark Chronicles, because we are just getting started. And next week, we are going somewhere even darker.